Welcome, and thank you for joining us this weekend to connect, rediscover, and celebrate the diverse alumni community here at Penn. This past year, it has both been my privilege and pleasure to connect with the many alumni volunteers and the alumni relations staff in planning this monumental and historical event. It has also been a personally gratifying experience to connect to my own roots to when I was a student here at Penn and involved with the Chinese Student Association. Penn has made huge strides in promoting diversity among its alumni, students, faculty, and staff. I hope that during this weekend, you too will connect back to your own fond Penn memories and make some new ones in the process. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for being here. This is very exciting. My name is Cecilia Ramirez. I'm also one of the co-chairs of Penn Spectrum. I'm here to talk to you a little bit today about rediscovering Penn. We're coming here for the very first time to honor the beautiful diversity that has enhanced this campus for generations. I challenge you today to rediscover your old campus, rediscover the place where your intellectual passions burgeoned, the community that became your second home when you were scared, lost, intimidated, and rediscover exactly what made your Penn experience memorable. So it could have been your friends, dorm life, mentors, or just a personal journey that you went through. I want you to reflect honestly on this experience and then take a look around the room, all of the events, and really reflect, because without you, this university would not be what it is today. I challenge you to rediscover how important you are to this community, and then really take the challenge to remain connected so that you can continue to watch this progress over the years, because it would not have been possible without you. So enjoy and have a wonderful weekend.
Good morning. My name is Lolita Jackson, and I'm one of the co-chairs as well with these lovely ladies. I invite you to celebrate coming together for the inaugural Penn Spectrum to reflect, reconnect, and rejoice. Each one of the communities represented during the course of this weekend has come a long way with many milestones achieved. This weekend is an excellent chance to acknowledge the past, celebrate the present, and look forward to the days to come with pride and full of hope for the future. We are all Penn. I would like to encourage all of you to share your Penn experiences with each other, participate fully in the sessions and events, and see the campus if you haven't been back in a while. Students, alumni, staff, and faculty, all of us make Penn the rich, diverse place that it has become, and I hope you have a wonderful time getting to know one another and coming together. And I now have the honor and pleasure of introducing the President of the University of Pennsylvania, Dr. Amy Gutmann. When Dr. Gutmann first arrived at Penn, she launched the Penn Compact and clearly stated her pledge to increase access to Penn with a particular emphasis on financial aid, something that's near and dear to my own heart. I was inspired by the Compact's boldness and welcomed Dr. Gutmann's spirit, enthusiasm, and determination to achieve such goals. From Penn integrates knowledge professors with interdisciplinary expertise, to no-loan financial aid, yes, to the campus Eastern expansion. We have seen President Gutmann's vision for the Penn of the 21st century unfold in wonderful ways. All of that is indeed fabulous, but what impressed me the most about Dr. Gutmann is her personal commitment to students and alumni. Sitting next to Dr. Gutmann at a homecoming football game several years ago, I knew she was a true Quaker because she had a laser-like focus on the game and expressed the joys and sorrows of thrilling touchdowns and missed field goals just like everybody else. Dr. Gutmann understands that Penn alumni care deeply about their alma mater and that programs and events such as Penn Spectrum are crucial to engaging people who may not have felt otherwise compelled to return here. As I said earlier, we are all Penn, all of us, all of our communities. And Dr. Gutmann is committed to ensuring that we all truly feel part of the Penn family. Her unwavering support of this weekend confirms this. And on behalf of the co-chairs and the Penn Spectrum Steering Committee, I want to thank her. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Amy Gutmann.
Thank you, Lolita, for that very warm introduction. And let's hear it for the committee that put together this program, led by Lolita, Maria, and Cecilia. You've done a great job. So it's a real thrill for me to address the first ever Penn Spectrum Conference. And I think this has got the makings of a great tradition, and we at Penn love great traditions. How many of you saw I want to see a show of hands, how many of you saw the student groups last night, heard them perform? Weren't they fabulous? When you come back to this campus, you get a sense of what I experience day in and day out, which is just an amazing student body of which will create the next generations of Penn family of which you're a part. Let me say a little bit about what inspired us to create this weekend. And then I'm going to leave time for your questions and comments, because I want to hear what your questions are and also what your reaction is to what we are doing, as we hope will be the beginning of a great tradition. So at the dawn of the last century, W.E.B. Du Bois described the quest for freedom in his seminal work, The Soul of Black Folk. And he described it as follows: "Freedom, the long sought, we still seek," he wrote. "The freedom of life and limb, the freedom to work and think, the freedom to love and aspire." Now fast forward to the beginning of the 21st century, and we're still seeking freedom, still striving to become the society to which we pledge allegiance: one society, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We mean, in no uncertain terms, for all African Americans, for all Asians, for all Native Americans, for all Latinos and people of color, for all lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender people, for all who call this country home. And yet we still see really tragedies, sometimes on our own university campuses. I don't know how many of you read of what's happened at Rutgers. A real tragedy. We still have work to do. For more than a quarter of a millennium, Penn has been part of the work that needs to be done, of the journey towards an aspiration that's still not fully a reality. We have, and we're very proud of educating pioneers. We have served as an example to other colleges and universities. How many of you saw that we were ranked #1, the #1 campus for diversity and the #1 campus for gay students? I think that deserves a round of applause for all of you who have contributed to that. There have also been some painful steps backward, but we have taken, I think, more promising steps forward, something that I'm very committed to. My goal today at Penn, with a great team, and we can't do it without the faculty, we can't do it without students who are the heart and soul. I like to say our students are our heart and soul and our faculty are our brains. You bring them together and they make just an incredible university. Of course, the students have brains too, and the faculty have heart and soul as well, and that is very important. So my goal is to demonstrate, I said this, something I said in my inaugural speech, but saying it is one thing, demonstrating is another. Diversity and excellence go together. They are as Penn a pair as canes and straw hats, and as the red and the blue. And look no further than our student body. Last year, nearly 27,000 young men and women from around the world applied for admission. That was a 17% increase in applications in 1 year. More than 20% increase in students of color. We admitted a record low 14.3% of applicants. Yes, it's getting tougher and tougher to get into Penn, and yet our classes are getting more and more diverse. No, I correct myself. It's not, and yet our classes are getting more and more diverse. It is the reason we are becoming more excellent is that our classes are getting more and more diverse. We have made ourselves more accessible to the most talented, the most accomplished, the most hardworking, the students who have the greatest potential to really become the world's leaders of the future. Last year's admitted class, the great class of 2014, and every class admitted humbles the classes before. You can look at it that way if you're a glass half empty person. If you're a glass half full person, like I am, you can say the value of your Penn degree just gets higher and higher as we admit more and more accomplished classes. Last year's admitted class, the class I welcomed at Convocation, which was also a gorgeous day. Something about this year is fabulous. You brought a beautiful weekend. Convocation brought another glorious day. Their average SAT scores, now I am trying to humble everybody, their average SATs, there are now 3 SATs, right, is 2,152, their score. 2152 is the average of the admitted class. That is an amazing statistic. As amazing is that 44% of the admitted class are students of color, minority students. So that shows that diversity and excellence go together. That's just the beginning of the journey at Penn. The class of 2014 is the most diverse, the most accomplished class in Penn's history. Let me just give you the statistics. 4 out of 10 students are people of color. 25 students are Native Americans. African American and Hispanic populations increased by 8% and 10% this year, respectively. And Asian students now make up a quarter of our class. The members of Penn's class of 2014 are learning and living on a campus that is growing more diverse, more active, and more vibrant as the semester passes. And you know something? They loved performing for you last night. When I met with the student groups earlier in the semester, I thought, oh, maybe I need to encourage them to come out for the Spectrum weekend because they're so busy. You know, in fact, this is sort of around midterms. They said, we want to do this. We're just so excited. And you know what? Penn students also like to show off. And I think they showed off really well to you, right? Yeah. So when I heard earlier this semester that Newsweek had named us both the most diverse school in the nation and the most gay-friendly school in the nation, I wasn't in the least surprised. I was proud, however. I'm delighted that Penn is now nationally recognized for our long-standing efforts to increase diversity on campus. The Pan Asian American Committee House and Maku Black Cultural Center will mark their 10th anniversary later this year. That's young, and that shows, because of the youth, the progress that we're making. No university really was where we should have been early on. And some of you had that experience on our campus. And it's really good to come back to see how things have changed. There's still great challenges, but this campus now exudes inclusiveness rather than exclusivity. I think Penn historically has always been a leader in higher education, but none of us has ever accomplished all of what we really should have done and could have done. We're trying very hard, and I think we're succeeding in being leaders here. Both the Maku Center and the Pan Asian American Community House are located in the Arch Building at the heart of campus. Renovating the Arch Building is one of the priorities of our Making History campaign, and we're looking for a naming donor for that. It is a great opportunity, and I'm sure we will do it. Both of those houses continue to address the changing needs of our students, who are committed to increasing student diversity and to creating a more welcoming campus for all. Our diverse and dynamic students' reach also extends beyond our campus. Last year, I was again proud as Penn's president when Penn made history in hosting the first ever IVQ, Ivy League LGBT conference with nearly 500 participants who were leaders from all the Ivies in the LGBTQ community. It was a great conference, and it was terrific that it was at Penn. On September 15th, we kicked off National Hispanic Heritage Month and celebrated another first, the new Penn Latino Community Summit. The event was co-hosted by the Latino Coalition and La Casa Latina. It brought together students, faculty, and staff from all over the campus. Now, here's another really striking fact about the diversity on Penn's community. We have organizations that represent our students of color, our LGBT community. They also work together, they collaborate. Another theme of Penn, you all know this, and if you can't say it in your sleep, you have to practice it. We are one beautiful urban campus with 12 schools on a contiguous campus, and we want to be leaders in interdisciplinary collaborative learning, living, and showing how we put knowledge into practice. So you practice that. That's our distinctive strength. Our students of color and the organizations that represent them and represent the LGBT community show this day in and day out. Another reason to be proud of Penn, and another reason why I'm so proud of our faculty and students who work together and do this. Each year, we work tirelessly to energize and engage a new class of Quakers. And our faculty and students really are the heart of this, working with our staff to do it. We urge them to get involved. We connect them to other students. I don't think when some of you who were my age, nobody's my age, you're all younger than I am, but those of you who didn't graduate in the last decade, I think it wasn't the case that the moment you came on this campus, you felt part of an alumni body. You felt part of a great class. That's what we're doing now, and it's really coming naturally. We urge our students to get involved. We connect them with other students. We help them discover ways to make the world better for themselves and for future generations. And they love that. That's why we admitted them, and they start practicing leadership the moment they come on campus. And they do it together, not alone. So I just ask you to join me in thanking the members of the Penn faculty and staff who help our students achieve their leadership. Let's have a round of applause for the team that makes this possible. So now, thank you. My deepest thanks are to all of you. I am delighted that you came back to your alma mater to begin a new tradition with us, a tradition that brings together students and alumni to celebrate diversity, to celebrate academic excellence, and to celebrate community. What does the future hold? That's the question I want to conclude by trying to answer. We've made significant progress, but we've got a lot more to achieve. We're thinking about the future for our students, for our university, and also for higher education and for the world. We've introduced new efforts to build diversity in our student body. We've translated our admissions materials into Spanish. We've created new initiatives to reach out to students of color. We've started connecting admitted students with their peers to help them envision a life at Penn. Our Lambda Alliance coordinated an effort with our Office of Admissions to reach out to students who identified as LGBT or as strong allies of LGBT people. The initiative connected current students with 60 admitted students so they could ask questions and get them answered about life at Penn. And this year, we've expanded that program to include early decision applicants. Eric Furta and his office are great allies with me in doing this. We are also increasing socioeconomic diversity because, as you know, every community represented here at Spectrum tends to be less affluent than the typical person who's admitted to an Ivy League university. And so increasing socioeconomic diversity is a great win. It really shows that we're accessible to the most talented, and it really opens the doors to the most talented and brings them to Penn. One of the university's highest priorities, as you know, is a commitment to increase access in higher education for talented students from all backgrounds. And last September, we took a quantum leap forward by fully implementing our historic no-loan financial aid policy. Now, for every student who can gain admission to Penn on the basis of his or her merits, every student who has financial need will have an aid package that's all grant, no loan. Thank you. And you, as ambassadors to Penn, should spread the word. The net cost of a Penn education for students on financial aid has actually declined over the past 5 years. Our financial aid over the past 5 years has increased by 70%. Altogether, we've awarded more than $135 million in aid to over 4,000 undergraduates this year. And more than half of the students in our class of 2014 are receiving some financial assistance. Let me just tell you what this means to our students by sharing with you a note that I received last year from a Latina student from Texas who is now attending Penn on a full scholarship. Here's what she wrote. My dad cried when I received word that I had been accepted at Penn. I had never seen my dad cry. You have renewed my parents' faith in life and reinforced the idea that this country is in fact full of possibilities, the everlasting American dream. When I read that, it was hard to keep dry eyes, but what it really symbolizes is that when we admit students with our no-loan policy, even before they come to Penn, even before they graduate, we have transformed lives. Their families have a new sense of possibility in this country. Since 2004, we've also increased the base stipend for all graduate students by more than 20% and more than 40% for students in the School of Arts and Sciences, where most of our graduate students are. Our Making History campaign is also increasing support for graduate student aid. Students from underrepresented groups who are pursuing PhDs are eligible for membership in Penn's Fontaine Society. This scholarly community, which is now more than 200 students strong, creates a support structure, it coordinates networking opportunities, and it invites Penn faculty to speak with the next generation of scholars about life in the academy. When I speak with our student groups of color and our LGBT groups, I ask them one thing. They ask me lots of things. You know, they ask for money, for example. They're no fools. They really know what to ask the president for. And by the way, in the Great Recession, we did not have to cut back in our support for student life. I repeat, we made no cuts in our support for student life. Thank you. There were some of our peer institutions, which will go unnamed, that couldn't afford, with their small endowments, to serve hot breakfast to students. We really show, and our students, by the way, they don't take it for granted. They both, I mean, the heart and soul and the brains go together. It's a very good combination. We all need heart and soul and brains. They not only appreciate it, but they use it as a way of becoming stronger and stronger and making Penn stronger and stronger. So what I ask them is to consider careers in academia. The Fontaine Fellows share what they have learned with undergraduates who are interested in pursuing graduate studies of their own. Because these undergraduate students who are so fabulous are going to become the pipeline of leadership, the future, in universities as well as all around in other professions. Our McNair Scholars Program has young men and women from underrepresented populations who are introduced to research and scholarship early. And many of our faculty, some of whom are here, and you've heard from some last night, and you'll hear from others today, our faculty are great mentors for these students. They are introduced to research and scholarship, and it's an opportunity that introduces them to academic careers and broadens the pipeline for future faculty. By focusing on diversity at all levels of all kinds, Penn is doing three things. We're equalizing opportunity for our students, we're educating the next generation of leaders for all sectors of society, and third, we're enriching the educational experience of all our students on campus. Penn is proving that diversity and excellence go hand in hand, and we're advancing both every day. That's the vision. And you know something? It's not only the right thing to do, it's not only something that gets us high rankings, but it's also, can I tell you this, you'll appreciate it being Penn alumni, it's fun. It makes this place a more enjoyable place for everybody. Penn has changed dramatically over the course of its long history. I want to thank you for being part of that change. Each of your life stories is unique, but they're also unmistakably similar in one important respect. They all led you to Penn. And of that, I am thrilled, and I'm thrilled that this conference has led you back to Penn. The most important pair, in my mind, is not canes and straw hats or the red and blue, it's Penn and you. It is because you and Penn demonstrate to me that excellence and diversity go together. No, not excellence and diversity, eminence and diversity. And in the future, it will be preeminence and diversity. We are showing that we are leaders. So come to your reunion, join your regional clubs, become a member of a diversity group, mentor students. Your engagement will ensure that our active alumni reflect our actual alumni body. You will ensure that we move forward as great institutional and individual leaders. We are a passionate and an eminent group of diverse individuals, and we are united in our passion for achieving liberty, justice, and educational opportunity for all. Let's together make this more and more a reality, which catapults Penn forward and makes us mighty proud. Last year, 2 years ago, Lee Doty and the alumni group made me an honorary alumna because I had to first atone for the sins of not going to Penn. It was a mistake I made, I admit it. I am so proud of being part of this fabulous alumni community. Welcome back, enjoy your day. I'm happy to take your questions, and go Quakers. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, I can see you now, great. Questions, comments? I think there's a mic, is there a roving mic? Great. And introduce yourself, please. Oh.
I am a proud member of the class of 1978. So
Here.
Well,
good.
Yes. And I want to say that I have not been back to the campus for 30 years until, let me tell you my little journey. I live in Washington, D.C. And I received in the mail an invitation to come to an event called Engaging Minds.
and it was a wonderful event. And then I decided to get online, and I'm not someone who's online a lot. I've got about 4,000 emails sitting in my box, so it's not something I look at frequently. But there was an invitation to the homecoming weekend where for the first time there was going to be arts and culture. So I came to that, and it was great. And so needless to say, when I got this invitation to Penn Spectrum Diversity, I was very happy to come for the weekend. But I want to thank you for re-engaging the alumni, myself and all the others who are here. And thank you for your leadership, and I probably wouldn't be here if it hadn't been for that. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Since you're inside Penn now, I can do with you what I do with some of our trustees who I see in the audience. I like to call it bringing you inside the sausage factory, telling you we have actually invested more in alumni engagement, even over the economic downturn. You know why? Because it truly is foolish not to. We have this great strength of over 230,000 alumni all over the world, in all paths of life, all kinds of leadership, and we are committed to engaging you all more. And so I'm delighted to hear that the Engaging Minds, coincidentally called Engaging, right, and arts and culture at a homecoming and alumni weekend, and this Penn Spectrum is doing that. And we see it in the numbers of alumni who come back. So actually, I want to give a round of applause for John Zeller, who's Vice President of Development and Alumni Relations, and the whole group who, partnering with Lee Doty, have really made this a reality for us. Let's hear it. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Lloyd Mitchell, College of 61. Yeah, ancient. I cannot tell you how delighted I am to hear some of those numbers you quoted. In my freshman class, there were 1,200. I was one of 4 African Americans.
Wow.
My wife came the next year when there was a massive jump in African American enrollment, jumped all the way up to 7.
Yeah.
Be that as it may, did get a great education here, and I was introduced to computers, which became my lifelong love and profession and everything else. It's a great university. I'm delighted that you're here leading it, and that we have this focus on diversity at the university. Needless to say, that was completely absent in my day. So it's a pleasure to, and I will admit, I did not enjoy my undergrad days at Penn. Have not been a very active alum, but now that I see these activities cranking up, that will certainly change. So we owe you a debt of gratitude for this kind of initiative, and certainly applaud your efforts and anticipate that it'll only go upward.
Thank you. Thank you. I have to tell you a story apropos of saying you have to admit you didn't enjoy your time here. We're very proud that we have a Penn alum who's the governor of Pennsylvania, and a Penn alum now who's the mayor of Philadelphia. And Michael Nutter, Mayor Nutter, likes to tell the story. He comes back to campus a lot, and he's a great speaker. He's really terrific role model for our students, and so he accepts every invitation to speak to our trustees, to speak to our students, and we've given leadership training. And what he loves to say every time he comes back is that he is spending more time at Penn now than when he was an undergraduate. So.
Hi, my name is Kim Mutcherson. I graduated from the college in 1994, which I guess gets no applause.
Hey! That's because you're so young, Kim.
Absolutely. I'm actually a faculty member across the river at Rutgers-Camden in the law school, and have been working very hard there, not just on issues of student diversity, which I think sounds like Penn is doing a really amazing job there, but faculty diversity, which is incredibly hard. And one of the things that's really difficult about faculty diversity, and becomes a great excuse for folks, is the pipeline, right? That we just don't have enough people, and that the people who are at the top, who are people of color, will always end up at the top, and that some of us who are at other schools are just going to have a really hard time doing recruitment. So I wanted to hear you talk a little bit about what the faculty looks like here, and what kinds of things are being done to make sure that the students of color have mentors of color who are on the faculty.
Yeah. So we work very hard at diversity at all levels, and you're absolutely right. The diversity among faculty and staff, I would include staff as well, is very, very important, and we track it very carefully. We have a set of programs with incentives to increase faculty diversity, incentives for chairs and deans. So the provost and I work together there. What we see is slow and steady progress, but you have to emphasize both. It's slower than we wish. It's good that it's steady, and we've seen progress over, the last decade. It is the case that we need to make more progress there. We are doing well, but not great on that front. None of our peers is doing great on that front either. And I think you've hit the nail on the head when you say faculty mentoring is key to this as far as the pipeline goes, but it's also the case. One of the reasons I mentioned the McNair program and the Fontaine Fellows, those programs which really help create a pipeline of great students of color are very important. They're very important. So are recruitments. And some of the same things that we needed to do to recruit students, we also are doing to recruit faculty, which is to have faculty of color help, us network. So we have a target of opportunity committee in arts and sciences, which a lot of our faculty of color help us identify who are the great rising stars out there whom we can recruit to Penn. And that's an ongoing effort. And I think, Egbert, you're here, right? Egbert Perry has been the chair of our ad hoc committee of the trustees on diversity. He's now also the chair of our facilities and real estate services committee. So Egbert has a diversity of talents and passions. And Egbert could, if you want to connect up with Egbert afterwards, he can tell you how much the trustees as well as the administration and the Penn faculty have really focused on this. I would say there's a lot more progress to be made there, and it's on every front. Coming into a profession where you don't have security until you get tenure, and it's not one of the highest paid professions, probably isn't the most appealing thing to some first generation students or people of color who don't come from middle income families. I can speak of that myself. I grew up in my family was anything but well off. I never heard of what a PhD was until I went to college. And it's not the profession that comes first to mind the way law and medicine or business. We work very hard at that. And the reason I'm really focusing on your question is I would say that's a huge challenge for higher education in the 21st century. As anyone who knows me knows, I am absolutely committed to rising to that challenge and to doing everything we can to move forward. I'm really, really proud of what Penn faculty of color are doing in helping us move this forward. And we're really moving forward as an administration to try to do better. One more question.
Good morning. My name is Lydia.
We'll do 2 more questions, okay? Yeah.
My name is Lydia Woods. I'm a proud member of the class of 1982, the college. And I had the privilege also of working for 2 years in the admissions office, so I got to go out and tell the story of Penn. That was actually my job, and I loved it. I'm very enthusiastic and very passionate. This weekend, I'm looking forward to hearing more ideas, thoughts, feedback from anyone about how to encourage my classmates, particularly my classmates of color, toward the same enthusiasm. Lots of times when I'm asking folks about coming back for reunions or other events, I hear a lot of grumbling, perhaps a little bit more like the gentleman was saying earlier, that their experience at Penn wasn't so great. But I'd like to maybe give them the thought that they still have an opportunity to have a great experience at Penn in other ways. And so I really want to hear ideas from everyone. I'm in the Washington, D.C. area, but my classmates are all around, and would love to just throughout the weekend hear any ideas or thoughts you have about that.
That is a great invitation. I think one goal of our inaugural Penn Spectrum conference is to figure out how we can be even more effective in connecting and bringing our alumni of color back to Penn. I've talked to enough alumni now to know that some alums look back at their time at Penn as the best years of their life, and others, shall we say, not so much. And the younger classes, it's overwhelmingly, this is great, I don't want to graduate. I can't, as I host parties at my house for freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors, and the further along they are, the more they're dreading graduating. And not because they don't want a Penn degree, they just don't want to leave, you know. And as you go back in time at Penn, there's more of a dichotomy between alumni who had the greatest time of their life here and others not so much. We have to re-engage all of those alumni, as many as possible, because being a Penn alum means being part of the Penn community for life. It is, as I think of it, and I think all of you do by virtue of being here, it's being part of an extended Penn family. And it's a great feeling if you can come back and see. It can give you assurance for the things that haven't changed, whether it be Smokes or, you know, Abner's or whatever, you know, or the Palestra, but it can be thrilling to see what's changed, to see that we now have a gorgeous renovated music building, that the Weiss Pavilion has opened, that we're going to, in a year's time, you all have to come back a year from now, the next Penn Spectrum, and look at Penn Park and how that will be transformed. 20% more green space on our campus, recreation fields, bicycle paths, and walking that you can have views of Center City and the campus. This is going to be a transformation of our campus equivalent to the transformation of Locust Walk. We're going to put where the tennis courts are a new college green named after a former chair of a board of trustees, Al Shoemaker, Shoemaker Green. So we have to re-engage those alums who didn't have the greatest time, because they're the very ones who will appreciate as much as you and I do how much Penn has changed. At the same time, we still have our canes and straw hats at Hay Day, and the students are just as passionate about Hay Day as they ever were, but they're also new, things that are new that show that Penn is as our former chairman of the Board of Trustees, Jim Riepe, likes to say, Penn is a university on the move. So great challenge for all of us today. My challenge to you is don't go away until you've come up with some ideas for how you can engage more of our alumni of color, okay?
Good morning. My name is Karen Hamilton, and I graduated from the college in 1987. I, I really just wanted to comment. I grew up in West Philadelphia. I was born and lived in Mantua on 34th Street and was first introduced to Penn through a high school summer program when I was 14. And for something that was a few blocks away, it also seemed like a world away to me. And when I was here, I just have to say one of the people was Cora Ingram in the School of Engineering. And she embraced me and challenged me, and my dream became to come to Penn, and I did. And I have to say that now, Penn was my first job was at Penn, and I'm now currently a staff member in the Division of Finance. And I told my son, who's one of the members of the college of the class of 2014,
Wow.
I told him that as the years have gone by, I've loved Penn more and more now, and just seeing it from so many different perspectives. And I think the efforts that have been made in terms of increasing access and just this whole pipeline throughout a lot of the programs that are in Philadelphia schools to encourage people, even in Philadelphia, to know that we have a premier institution right here in our city that is accessible to them and that is inclusive of diverse people from all kinds of backgrounds has really been something that made it so easy for me to just know that Penn was going to be a great place for him, and the same, I think the level of love that I have for the university now as an alumni and as a staff member just exceeds anything that I would have ever thought of. And I just see that whole legacy, just something that even as we're coming back for things like the Penn Spectrum Conference, we have really just a great opportunity to reconnect with Penn, and it's just awesome. And I love the university for everything it's been to me, and I'm really excited to be here among so many other people who have come back. So thank you.
Wow. So I really didn't plant that as the last question, but I have to say that the theme is exactly the right theme. Everything we do for Penn should make Penn more and more lovable over time to a broader and broader spectrum of our community. Thank you all for being back here, and let's love Penn even more. Thank you so much. Thank you.